Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday night virtual job club meeting for adult ed students. Tonight, we're going to talk about career portfolios. I'm going to share the screen. What I'm going to do is show you a video, part of a video that was our introductory video to job clubs, where Tom Petrusik told us all about career portfolios and why it's important to happen. So he wasn't able to be with us tonight and gave me permission to use his portion of our video. So I am going to try to not only share my screen, but also allow you to hear to be able to hear it. So I'm in the PowerPoint, share sound. And then if you can't hear, please let me know. And I'm going, okay. And I'm going to kind of get us ahead here to Tom's part. Oh, too far. Creating a portfolio.
Okay, thanks, Valerie. Like Valerie said, my name is Tom Petrusik. I am one of two transition advisors at Waubonsee Community College. And moving forward in future job club meetings, one of the tools we hope to provide you with will be a career portfolio. I may also refer to this as a job search portfolio or a professional portfolio, but in essence, they are the same thing. So we'll address the creation of this moving forward in one of our future job club meetings, and I hope you'll find that valuable. They are definitely becoming more popular. The whole idea behind what a professional portfolio is you may find them certainly in college. You will find them in a lot of high schools. Certain departments in certain colleges put a premium on these things. And
did it stop?
Yes.
Ugh. Sorry. Let's see if I can get.
They are definitely becoming more popular.
Yeah.
The whole idea behind what a professional portfolio is you may find them certainly in college. You will find them in a lot of high schools. Certain departments in certain colleges put a premium on these things, and the whole idea is that it's an opportunity to showcase yourself, to compile all the tools necessary to take the next step, whatever that is. So for a high school student, it might be accumulating a way to show a body of their work when they apply to a college. If you're in college and you're getting together one of these professional portfolios, obviously then the next step might be grad school or the workforce. So what exactly is in it? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, I hope. Okay, you guys got that? Yeah? Okay. Okay, and ironically here, this is sponsored by, it says the U.S. Department of Labor, which is in partnership with the American Job Network, right? American Job Center Network.
Way to go, Tom.
See how I tied that in real nice? Okay, so these are some of the things here. All right. Most people will be familiar with a resume, right? But the idea of the portfolio is to go far beyond that. And it's to include some items that are going to highlight not only your accomplishments, right? But everything that you have to offer. They will be different. There's no sort of one size fits all professional portfolio. You'll want to cater that obviously to what your experiences are, right? Everybody's experiences, both educationally, for sure, may be different. So you're just going to highlight those individual qualities that you feel will showcase yourself or make you stand out. A resume, a cover letter. Here you'll see a list of accomplishments. Again, that's obviously going to vary from individual. Samples of your work. Obviously, some individuals in high school, for instance, and I did that. This was my first experience with creating career portfolios, was with high school students. You know, they didn't have a large body of work, right, that they wanted to showcase. So sometimes we had to be creative. But you'll see some ideas here, awards, volunteer work, maybe conferences that you attended. A lot of times they'll give you a certificate or a badge for completing something, or a little online course. These are the types of things that can go into a professional portfolio. The idea being that it also gives you not only that opportunity to show it off once it's completed, but you're much more likely to sort of act and be proactive in your job search if you already have these things together, you know, in a place. Oftentimes in the past, when I would work with students, you know, we'd get as far as maybe a resume or a cover letter, and then they would go ahead and you know, start their job search, and they would realize, you know, wait, they were asking for 5 letters of reference, not just 2 or 3, which is maybe what they had. So it's a good idea to have this be as comprehensive as you can, because, you know, it's not a one size fits all type of thing. It's obviously going to vary for individual, but it will also vary for what your intent is. But you can see here, there's quite a few things that you'll want to include. Most importantly, the things that I think we'll focus on would be resume, cover letter, making sure you have references, making sure you have maybe a template of all your prior work experience, right? Because they'll ask for dates and these types of things. So you're going to want to have that up front, so that when you do see that job opening, when you are you know, engaged in that job search, you're going to be much more likely to act quickly if you're not scrambling around to find these things, if you already have them in place. So that's kind of the idea overall in general terms of what would be in a portfolio. Now, the other point, I'll go ahead and stop sharing that. The other point would be, why is it important, right? Well, I discussed a little bit of that, but in particular, it's a fantastic way to prepare yourself for what comes next in that job search, right? An interview, these types of things. So you've already done that work. You've already refreshed all of your experiences. You've already highlighted the things that you want to, you know, shine that light on, perhaps in your interview. So a lot of the hard work, you know, the heavy lifting is already done as far as the job search goes. The other thing that I found interesting is it will definitely set you apart. I did mention that these things are becoming sort of more in vogue and more popular over the years. But I did find a statistic off of that American Job Center. The statistic was quoting a hiring coordinator from Verizon Wireless. And out of 300 interviews that were conducted annually, I'm not sure how recent this was, but I'm assuming it was quite recent. About 1% actually had a portfolio. So that may sound a little contradictory to what I'm saying. Well, if they're so important to, you know, why aren't you maybe seeing them more? I really can't speak to that, okay? But what I can speak to is the effectiveness of what the portfolio will bring, because that same person said, guess what? Every single one of those individuals that did have a portfolio got the job. Okay, so it is not time wasted in the least. It is very important in terms of setting yourself apart from your competition, and that is one way to look at it when you're in sort of the job hunt, right? The job search. You are in competition, so it's best to be as prepared as you possibly can. So I believe having a career portfolio is going to be very beneficial to anybody who's engaged in a job search or looking to go on to further education, whatever the need is. And we'll hopefully look to focus on some of the specifics and cater those individual career or professional portfolios to you in future job club meetings. So with that, are there any specific questions that I can help answer?
I have a question, but
Sure.
about the resume.
Mhm.
She, uh,
I'm going to stop this here because we had, I'm going to go on to the next one. We had a really bad connection, and that question, we couldn't understand the question. So, but you have the opportunity to ask any questions that you might have. I believe her question was very specific to what she was going to put on her resume. So for right now, let's talk about what's going to go in the career portfolio, assuming that right now, see this right here, your resume was the third item. We're going to assume at this point, we're going to make our list of what should be included in our career portfolio. So obviously you want to include the same kind of information that you put on your resume, but you can put more personal information similar to what you might put on LinkedIn, but not similar to how much you would put on Facebook. So let's try to keep those comparisons. LinkedIn is going to be our professional presentation in media, and we're going to keep Facebook as kind of our social media. So you might post a joke or something on Facebook, and you wouldn't consider doing that on LinkedIn because that's not the type of service it is. It's a place to focus on business, make connections, do networking. So we want to set the tone for our career portfolio as kind of an extension of LinkedIn. So you want your personal information on there, you want a career summary and a list of goals. On our resume, we might have a career summary. In that summary, we talked about our branding statement, but we can go into more information and more detail if we have a career portfolio. We can list what some of our goals are, and our goals are going to again be related to business and work and what you hope to attain in your career as opposed to in your personal life. Okay, then the piece is, the next piece would be your resume. So remember what we talked about with resumes. We are going to tweak resumes for each individual job that we are going to apply for, because we realize, as we saw in the last session, we want to make sure that the skills that we highlight on our resume match the skills and qualifications that they're looking for in that job description. So for two reasons. One, again, remember, they only look at your resume for 6 seconds. So you want to be sure that what you have on there jumps out to that employer as, here's somebody who matches what I'm looking for. Okay, that's kind of the second step. The first step is we want to make sure we get past that applicant tracking system, which is that artificial intelligence. It looks at the keywords from the job description, compares it to the keywords that you're using to describe your skills and your work history. And if there isn't a high enough match of having those, then you will not get moved along to the next step. Okay, so, and the next step is actually having perhaps the hiring manager or an HR person reviewing your resume again. So that's why we need to tailor our resume. So the career summary and this next list of skills and accomplishments, you can enhance those beyond whatever job. You can make these very general. Things that you have accomplished in your job, skills that you have that as an employee, they make you a valuable employee, but they might not necessarily match what the job description and qualifications were in that job description. So that's why we want to make sure that we can enhance and show more about ourselves by putting together the career portfolio, because we can find a way of listing our skills and our accomplishments. Now, in your in the field that you're considering, so for example, in education, if you're looking for some kind of teaching or organizational role, a work sample might be, and now I forgot the name of it. I have just lost when you put together the list of what you're going to do for school that day. It'll come to me and I'll blurt it out, but you might put a sample together of what your daily routine was, what you covered, so that, and if you're in an educational system, somebody could look at that and say, I see that she included this, this, and this, that part of her day. It also shows all the different things that you did during the day. If you only teach one subject, it will show that you went from one place to another. To lesson plans, that's what it is. Lesson plans, sorry. So you can show a lesson plan for an entire day with your class if that's what your teaching assignment was, or you can show a lesson plan for various subjects that are going to hopefully relate to the position that you're looking for. And then if you are somebody who has done work with computers, I think we've talked about designs, we've talked about using CAD, we've talked about architecture, we've talked about a lot of different things in the area of architecture and the using of software like CAD. By giving examples of something that you produced in one of those, using one of those systems like CAD, or if you did some kind of design, or you made a blueprint, or anything that shows and can identify and highlight the work that you have done. Okay, the list of continued education qualifications or any professional development, that's going to be what Tom was referring to as you might have taken a course or a workshop, and at the end of the workshop, they often give you certificates of completion. If you have those can be included as part of your career portfolio. Anything that you have done, whether it directly affects the job you're applying for right now, any kind of professional development, any kind of coursework that you've done, having a mention of that in your career portfolio gives the employer, not only gives them the idea of everything that you have studied, but it also tells them you have participated in continuing education. You want to keep your skills up. You want to know what all the best practices are. So that's an important thing if you have attended any of those. Also, as Tom mentioned, if you've done volunteer work, especially if it's similar to anything work related, make sure that you put that in there. Plus, in your reference list that we talk about here, testimonials are those little statements. It can be only a paragraph. So let's say you volunteer somewhere, your child's school, a food pantry, the library, there's many places, a hospital, a nursing home. There's lots of places where you can volunteer. Ask whoever the coordinator of the volunteer is if they would write a testimonial for you, and that could be included. If you're going to do a reference letter for somebody who's going to be talking about your professional experience in the field that you're applying to, you're going to want that to be a little more inclusive and giving an idea of what the scope of your daily tasks were. And then also that wonderful mention of what a great person and staff member you were or employee that you were, and how much you contributed to their company or school or whatever. So those are the ideas of a list of some of the things. It's not a complete list. And if you have anything that you're considering putting in a career portfolio, certainly let's talk about it, even if it's not listed here. Okay, then there are things that you should not do on your career portfolio. So if you are going to go through the effort of creating a career portfolio, don't start out strong and then get really lazy and not do it to completion. You're better off, if you're only going to throw some things together, you're better off just having your resume, your cover letter, your list of references, just all separate, and don't try to do the whole career portfolio thing. In terms of unprofessional packaging, we're going to talk about, and I think it's the next 2 slides or 3 slides, the different kinds of ways that you can digitally either have a hard copy by using Word or Docs, or you can use a program like Wix.com that you would have a website that the employer, you would give them the link to, and that would be where you would house all of the information that you would normally put in your career portfolio. And Wix.com is designed exactly to do these kinds of presentations. They walk you through it. We're going to take a look at that site too. I haven't personally done it, so we are going to have to figure out, I can't tell you exactly how it's going to work, but I can show you what some of the features are. You want to make sure that everything they see first when you're talking about your career, you keep the most current is what they're going to see first, and then work your way back to your previous work. Anything about any work that you've done that either maybe you've had a job that you weren't successful in, or a volunteer position that you weren't successful in, or let's say in school, lots of times in schools, our programs now, especially in the graduate degree level, but also in the bachelor degree level, we're seeing more and more internships and practicums and, experience on the job that you can highlight, even if you haven't had a paid job. That's something you're going to want to include because you did that in the workplace. So you functioned in a workplace doing those tasks, not just sat in a classroom or sat on Zoom and learned how to do it. So you actually had practice at that. So you want to make sure that you're focusing everything about you and your experience that tells them you are going to add value to their company. You are the perfect person for the job. And anything that shows longevity, like if you've had a job, even if it doesn't apply to the specific job that you're now applying to, but let's say you work somewhere, let's say you had a career, in your career, because when you're new at starting out in your field, you might have had a 1-month temporary job somewhere. If that doesn't have to do with anything with the job, you don't have to put that in there. However, if it is very similar, or you develop skills there, or you want to explain an experience that you had there, or what you thought you were successful at there, then of course you want to add that 1 month. But if you've had a work assignment that was, say, 2 years, an employer wants to see that because they want to know that if they hire you, you're going to be somebody who's going to stick around, and not just they spend the time and money to train you and then, you find somewhere else that's going to pay a little bit more and then you leave. So everything that shows that you're looking for a career, that you've had work experiences, or you've had school experiences that relate to that. I'm not exactly sure what they mean here about don't leave out information. Anything that's on your resume, I mean, certainly a 1-month temporary position, you can leave that out. You know, you worked at a retail job over the holidays to make extra money. You don't have to put that in there. I don't think that that's what they're talking about. I think it might be if an experience, either information like you've had a gap, as many of our students have, had a gap in their employment history, primarily because they moved here from another country. It takes time to get settled and established. You took time to take classes to help you with English language acquisition, which shows is a great thing for you to be talking about. So you can include the fact that you've had a gap, but then talk about the positive things and the career related things that you've done to keep yourself current or get current or learn what our best practices are here in the United States. Okay. Now our next slide. Okay, so this is an example. If we're talking about, so when I first thought about a career portfolio, I was envisioning something like, you know, the little, those little tiny binders that they have, they're only about a 1/2 inch wide. And I'm kind of envisioning the plastic sheet protectors, and you're putting all of the information in some kind of a order. And we can talk about that when you get to that point. But so that's like the most basic way. The one thing you don't want to do is bring in a bunch of papers that are not somehow put together, or using an old folder or file folder. You know, I would not use one of the file folders that you use, say, in a desk drawer, but you certainly could use a folder that's got in the center where you can insert pages, and then you'd have the 2 pockets on each side, but spend the money to get a nicer folder. Okay. Or get one of those binders. More than likely, you're not going to be leaving that. So you can spend a little bit more money on the binder so that it's impressive when they look at it. Now, what I was thinking about is, how do you decide how you want to make it look? So if we did our usual, let's say, are we going to put in there the resume that comes from Career Coach? Probably not the place for that. In your career portfolio is the place for those fancy template resumes that we talked about, that you don't want to upload into an online job application, but this is the place where you would put that resume. So one of the things that you might want to do, and this is just, and I can actually go out and we can talk about some of them. This is just this is Microsoft Word. I'm on the new document. And all I did, this is, as soon as you do that, it's like, these are the suggested searches that you can use to develop other themes. So let me stop sharing this and actually go into that document. Okay, are you seeing resumes and cover letters?
Yes.
Okay, phew. All right. I skipped a step and I thought maybe I did not do a good thing. Okay, so I am just in Microsoft Word. I ended up, in fact, let me take, well, okay, so this is the place. And notice that this is resumes and cover letters. This is the more like the resume, even though it's got some formatting up above, but this one is more like the resume that's going to come out of Career Coach. We use that type of resume because we want to make sure that all of our data gets uploaded into the right places in the application. And there's no way to know what's going to happen. So by using the Career Coach that's designed to have no formatting, like the fewest things that can possibly cause a problem in uploading, we want that for the online. Here's where you can use the fancier looking split resumes because you don't have to worry about anything being uploaded. You can put your picture on one that's in a career portfolio. You would not do that if you're going to just send a resume. It's not something that we do in the United States, and probably the only field, if you were doing something artistic, creative, you're a musician, you're an actor, some kind of professional performer, then you're going to see, they're going to want to see pictures. But for the most part, we don't put pictures. So here are just some styles. And if we decide that we like one or another of these styles, let me just click on this and see what we see. Okay, that's not what I thought. So if you choose a style, then this is, you want to carry that style through your whole portfolio. So if I go back into Word, oh, I know what I wanted to show you. I can show it to you on, let me stop this. Okay, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint, but what I'm going to do is take it out of presentation mode so I can show you some of the things that you can do. You could use PowerPoint for putting together a career portfolio as well. And it's easier to upload things and be more creative, I think, with PowerPoint than it is Word. But let me show you in our PowerPoint. Okay, so if I get out of, all right, how am I going to do this? I have to think about this for a minute. It's harder to do this when you are not. All right, I'm going to use this one, I think. Bear with me, thank you. Okay, so what I did when I created this PowerPoint, when the first time I had blank slides, so everything was white. If you look up at the ribbon above, if you use the design tab, notice all the different designs that they have here. So I can change the design. So that's just, it went back to all white. Or it could look like this with some different colors, and see how it's got the borders on the side. Okay. Here's another style. And so it changes it for and there are specific types of slides, like there's a title slide, there's a comparison slide. So anything that you want to do, let me look at, so for insert here, if no, this is what I want. New slide, okay. So look at the different kinds of slides that there are. So depending on what kind of information you want for your portfolio, if you wanted to do, this is a great title to start out with. If you want to have a title on a certain section, and then you want to say what the content is, this is one where they've got two dividers. This is side by side. So, and this one is just blank, so you can set it up however you want it. And these are just the different types of slides that are available here with already formatted for you. You can size them by just clicking on the section, and then you can resize it. But you also have a completely blank one that you can do anything you want with. So the nice part is when you're adding that new slide, you can also look at, it's giving me a hard time here. I can't get up to the top where I want to be. Give me a minute here. Okay, so if I go back to design, then I've got, see, I'm changing the backgrounds as I'm going along. So that's a different background. And then here's a different background. The one I've been using is the very last one. So to get it back to where it was when I started, that is that one. And now it's all back to where it was. Okay, so here's the important thing to remember. When I started doing this, but I changed the style because I added that other style of slide. If you do a colored background like I did here, you want to make sure, let's see if I can get to this slide. Okay, when I typed this in here, it was just black type. However, when I made the background black, then you couldn't see the writing that was on it. The same thing with this, with the What's a Career Portfolio. When I made it black, this became black as well. So I had to play around with it a little bit. So after you change the background, you may have to go back and change text colors and things like that. But I think that that's the great part about this, is there are so many things that we can do by changing. There's even so this format button, the format the background, if you look over here, so I had this was a solid fill. If I want a pattern fill, I can change it to that. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. And then here's the patterns down here, that different kinds of patterns that you can use. So there's so much that you can do with the programs that really, just by putting a portfolio together using PowerPoint or using Word, you can get a pretty impressive looking presentation, if you will. Okay. Now let me get back into the real PowerPoint. Anybody have any questions about this part? This was the how you can use Word and PowerPoint to create a presentation that has a theme. And the design, in the design section of PowerPoint, they have a lot of these themes right here, but they also have them when you open a new document. Same thing with Word, which is the other thing that we talked about. So here was the options. This is the PowerPoint looking for a template. So look at all the different options that they had here. And that was just on the first page. You know, you can scroll down and see a lot more. Same thing with Word. And then the digital option, here's the website, and it's called wix.com. And it's a live link. So once you have the video, you can just click on it to get you there. And I'm going to click on it myself to get us there. But see how they have these different templates here? And you can just use, in fact, I'm going to go to the site. I think that would be better. Or maybe I'm not. What just happened here? Let me go back to stop sharing here because I have the site open. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy here with all of this back and forth stuff. I got excited when I heard about the Wix program. Because I don't know why I'm not seeing it here. Let me do this instead. Okay. Are you seeing just the Google search screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I just used wix.com. Okay, and then, so they want you, like everything else, if you're going to, whatever you're going to do, if you want to create a folder that then you're going to use that as a website to send people the link to, this is what you would do. If you're going to do a whole website, then you would click on this. Let's do create a new site and see what we have to do. I think I can skip this. I have to keep moving windows around, sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna say other. I want to get to the part where they let us pick out. Okay, I'm gonna start with a template because see what it says here? They've got drag and drop and they've got thousands of designs. So I wanna use, I don't feel creative enough to make up my own. So here on that slide that I showed you, these are all the different types of templates that they have. And then they've got what kind of business they were for underneath. So you could pick a theme and then you're just going to edit. You know, they'll have text boxes everywhere. Look, they have 82 pages of this. So let's just pick, I'm going to just pick this one. This has a demo. I don't know. Let's just look at it. So these are a lot of the different choices. As soon as you find one, then you would just edit. Let's see what will happen if it has us pick one if we want to edit. Okay, so this is how you edit. If this is what, I want to see if I can stop that. If this is what this particular page is going to look like, then you would click on whatever the item is and then put in or drag and drop what you want in there. You could write the text right in here, but these are all the different styles that they have. So I think it's a pretty interesting concept for us to consider if we want to take the time to figure out how to create a website. If not, then what you want to do is choose just like you would do with your cover letter and your resume. If you were doing one of the fancy ones that we talked about before, let me go back to this page. So if we were, let's say this was actually resumes instead, and here we are. These are the resumes and the cover letters. So if this is the design that I like, then I'm going to, whatever colors I use here and how I set this up and having the name boldly here, I'm going to try to keep this style or something that matches it with subsequent things. So for example, if I want to use this style, maybe I'm going to keep this basic information and this might be reference list. Or maybe I'm going to keep this and have the title of this page be work experiences. And you're summarizing different work experiences, but you want to keep it looking similar. If you used one page like this and one page like this, they don't really fit together. So you want the design to work together. And then just to show again, no, that's not what I want. If I'm adding a new slide, so this is how, pick a theme and then use these different types of slides depending on, go ahead.
The screen's still on wix.com.
Yes.
Oh, stop share. I thought I was, all right, thank you. Uh-oh, where was I? I think I was in here. Okay, are you seeing the PowerPoint not in the presentation form? It's got the slides here.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So talking about in the Wix where there was a design formula. So here's the Wix on this slide. And they've got, this is all very professional looking and maybe more than what you might want to try to do right now. It would be a good idea if you're planning on doing something in a computer or technical or IT field where you might be doing this kind of work. It's definitely worth going the extra mile to have this. But if you're going to use either a site or a hard copy or a file folder, then Word and I'm going to open or PowerPoint, these are some of the templates, but then within these templates, they're going to have the same kind of thing with the different gallery of slides, the types of slides that you could set up. So if I were going to add a new slide, so let me pretend I'm going to add a slide here. And I want to add one where I'm going to have a picture. I'm going to add this one. Okay, so see what comes up. I can add here it's looking for a title, so I might have to change what this is. But this is set up for text. This is set up for text. But here you can add a picture. Or you can change what this is set up for and add a picture here, and then maybe a summary here, and then text here, but it still all fits within this design. If I didn't want to use that slide, then maybe I would change to this one because I want to have a title on it. I want some text. And then I want to be able to add more things to it. Okay. that's how you can work within PowerPoint. It doesn't matter that it's, I mean, you can send somebody a PowerPoint and have it set up so that it automatically starts when they open it. So this is a possibility too. This is how you keep your theme. And then on the design page or on the design tab is where you're going to pick what it looks like. Okay. Oh, that sure changed things. And that's back to the white. And these are the solid colors. And this one had a background, but it's not showing there. So every one of the styles of the new gallery of slides, if I chose this one, they're all going to have this design somewhere on them, either across here, maybe down the bottom, maybe across the top, but this geometric design is going to be carried through and the same color. Okay, any questions on that? All right, so that's how you can kind of, I thought we needed to spend some time on how do we package the portfolio once we put it together. The digital, I might play with that a little bit to see if I can get a little better at it myself before I talk to you guys about it again. I'm going to go back to the slideshow now. So, okay, that was the second one. I've changed the theme. And here's my last slide that you guys must recognize now, but look at it, it's completely different than it was before with the black background and the red text. And that's because I changed the theme or the design. And that's what's so fantastic about using something like PowerPoint. Word does the same thing. You might want to use PowerPoint just because if you want to set it up as a presentation and have it automatically go forward, you can do that. There's just a lot you can do with it. So I guess I would recommend using PowerPoint. So I always end my formal presentations with our advisor's contact information. The reason I like to have it in our slides is that then when I send them out to anyone who either attended or asks for copies of them, it's got all of our contact information in there. So, and Tom, the first one, is the one who did our presentation today on what's in a career portfolio. So that concludes our formal part of our presentation. And I thank you for attending. And I will send out the PowerPoint tonight and the video. Last time I had a horrible time with the video, so I'm hoping by Monday that I get the video out. But thank you again, and I hope to see you again next Thursday.